Okay, thank you very much for your kind introduction and giving me the chance to present my paper uh, on an feminist criticism of Rokeya Sakhawat Hossain's Sultana's Dream. I am Hossain Al Mamun, professor and head of the Department of English at Shahjalal University of Science and Technology from Bangladesh. And I'm sorry that I don't have any presentation slide to share. There is some political unrest in our country and internet interruption, etc. That's why I could not prepare in proper ways. So I will share and discuss from other preparation. It's a fantastic organized program, the colloquium titled Literature and the Natural World, arranged by the Department of English and American Studies at Constantine, a philosopher university in Nitra, Slovakia. And I know one professor, Maria Rikova, she's involved with some activities, some mobilities with my department. And there's from a Bangladeshi or Indian text. Sultana's Dream actually published in 1905 from Madras-based Indian Ladies magazine. Later, it was published by Penguin, and it is a famous text for Indian feminist study. And Rokeya Sakhawat Hossain, who is popularly known as Begum Rokeya, there is a university by her name, some university halls, and some other programs, and some awards are given by her name. And she was spent from 1880 to 1932. And unluckily, she did not get proper institutional education for some banning due to some social, quote unquote, social evils in that colonial India. But she could manage some education, knowing English, Bangla, Urdu, and other languages from the help of her brother and later her husband. And that's why she produced that text, Sultana's Dream, a utopia setting, considering women in the leading position. And she could manage, her husband helped her to publish the novella from Madras. And Madras University is one of the oldest university in India. And she came to know the popularity of the text in her lifetime. That's why she translated the text into Bengali. May I know how much time I have to present my paper?
Yes.
Is it 15 minutes or 20 minutes?
Sorry?
How much time do I have for my presentation?
As much time as you need. In this board, there is no other presentation after you because some people fell out.
Okay. So I'll try my best to incorporate the things that I wanted to actually share. Okay. So I have 5 sections in my presentation that I was talking about her time. She was from such a family that did not help her to get education. She got really some help from her sister or brother to educate herself. Later, her husband, she got fortunately a very helpful husband in regards of emancipating her and her views to the then Muslim community or Muslim women. And she had some vision to disseminate her intention to Muslim women, rejecting some purposes that they had in their life. Like, she said, women have to avoid or kill, quote unquote, their mental slavery that we are under the privileged of patriarchal society. We are such kind of object of the man, and she rejected that all sort of mental slavery using ornaments or preserving lots of taboos, superstitious beliefs in the which are common in the society previously and that time and even today. That's why she wanted to create such work that can help the women to educate herself, educate the path of emancipation for women. Uh, First of all, I would like to read my abstract where some arguments are there, and then I'll go for theoretical framework. And then in third position, I would like to discuss some of the events of the stories, relating them with the feminine aspects and feminist views, considering eco-feminist approaches from the theoretical point of view. And then I want to argue for my conclusion that why did she create the text that we are considering today as an eco-feminist text. So, as a utopia fiction, Rokeya Sakhawat Hossain's Sultana's Dream narrates a fantasy of a young woman, Sultana, who visits a ladyland run solely by women, where she encounters perfect order and harmony everywhere, using natural resources, applying technologies, and following quote unquote love as their religion. The author invites women of colonial Indian Muslim society to have an illusory experience of freedom by criticizing the selfishness of patriarchy and the self-slavery of women in a similar way, showing how only education can be the driving force for women's emancipation in the context of using natural details uh, and resources as much as possible. In the story, a native guide for Sultana, Sister Sara, introduces how they make nature yield as much as they can, and they dive deep into the ocean of knowledge and try to find out the precious gems that nature has kept in store for them, and how they enjoy their lives in the availability of electricity and aerial transport, clean streets and lush gardens, pleasurable labor, and plenty of leisure in a no crime and no disease Herland, where women are out of zenana, that means one kind of seclusion in four walls, who are studying in universities and conducting marvelous researches with the inventions of machines for for serving rainwater, for reserving rainwater and the sun heat. Therefore, Rokeya's story explores a techno-scientific utopianism within a broader ecofeminist perspective. This paper examines how ecofeminism relates women and nature, with the tendency toward, quote, domination of the environment as an patriarchy, unquote, to claim that the treatment of women and nature requires analysis which should not be male biased. Okay, so I considered six keywords for exploring my paper: ecofeminism, patriarchy, emancipation, nature, zenana, and mardana. That I was talking, zenana means one kind of seclusion in four walls. That is, women are habituated in India in different corners of the country and beyond. And mardana, that is created by Rokeya Sakhawat Hossain in her book. It's totally a binary of zenana. So that is the interesting point, that is the problem of the text to solve, that how is it possible to keep men in the four walls, and what happened after keeping them in four walls. Okay, so the story begins in a way. One evening, I was longing in an easy chair in my bedroom and thinking lazily of the condition of Indian womanhood. So you know that Rokeya was very conscious about her contemporary women's condition. That's why the title character Sultana, whose name has a meaning that the queen or such kind of lady ruler for a particular region. She was thinking about lazily thinking about womanhood of India. I am not sure whether I dozed off or not, but as far as I remember, I was wide awake. I saw the moonlit sky sparkling with thousands of diamond like stars very distinctly. All on a sudden, a lady stood before me. How she came in, I do not know. I took her for my friend, Sister Sara. So Sister Sara Rokeya was that I was telling her brother and her sister helped her a lot to know English and other languages and the knowledge that should be required at that time for the emancipation of a woman who was living in Zenana. That she dreamed for such a country where women should be liberated, women should be free, women should be work under their guidance and knowledge, and that's why she was thinking. And she got Sister Sarah a guide for her tour in the dream. And the text indicates Darjeeling, one of the beautiful places of India, beautifully arranged. It likes a garden. It looks like a garden, and she was dreamed for visiting that place. And originally, she is from Calcutta, the then capital of India, the colonial India. So, throwing that the path looks like garden in that Ladyland or Herland, she found no man outside of the house, and she was just amazed to see the natural setting and beauty. And it was told by Sister Sarah that everything in this land is maintained, arranged, and run by women. And she became astonished, Sultana, and asked what happened to the men. I did not find anybody here. And she said there is a story behind that story, and they are willingly kept themselves in that Mardana, where they are, take caring every single issues of the house, except giving birth of the child. So what happened that is important in that land, there were universities, and the principals or vice chancellors were women, and there were 2,000 more than 2,000 students, and two universities had competition to invent lots of things, and two things are importantly mentioned that they preserved how they preserved water, rainwater for the summer season, and how did they preserve sun heat or sunlight to use them in an alternatively. And the story came in a way that one day uh, they got into a trouble with the neighboring country, and the war began. Their soldiers, their men fought up to the mark, and they showed all of their courage, etc. But the opposition soldiers were so heavily weaponed, and they marched to the capital of the city. And then the lady principals of the university, they met with the inventors, students, and other stakeholders and asked them to do something. And they decided that they would like to involve in the war, but they don't have any weapon. And they were men soldiers were too tired to take rest because they were tired not because of their spirit of engaging in the war, but they were thinking about the loss in the world. So that's why they gave the principal gave them opportunities. So what would you like to do? So do you want to go to the inner of the house, and our ladies will fight for the country, or what do you want to do? So then they took the decision to keep themselves inside, and the ladies wanted to be in the war, and they used their sun heat when the opposition soldiers came. They could not understand the power of the sun heat or the ray, and they could not understand, and they fled from the country. and they won the war, the battle, and from that time, the women are working outside of the house. I'm telling that it is a utopia. That's why the setting is, giving women in a position that if they get opportunities, they can do everything, whatever it is. So how can they do everything? They are university educated students or graduates. They are using nature to the fullest. They arrange the country as a garden. Love is their religion. They never kill anybody. They don't have any business with any culprits or any corrupt country outside of their country. And education is the pioneering factor to improve their own career and the country in general. So how did the text firstly criticized the patriarchal selfishness or patriarchal domination? And patriarchy in India, or in other words, think that women are weaker than men. Rokeya said that women's brain are quicker than men. And if she said that if you don't have physical power, then you have to do your work by brain. And from the embroidery to the to running helicopter or any airy vehicles, she talked on every issues that was not even common in that time. So her vision was ahead of time. Uh, and how do the men in the offices waste their time by gossiping, by taking cigar, by reading newspaper. So she gave one example that within 8 hours of office time, men only work for 2 hours. But on the other hand, women, they don't waste the time. They use the time in particular to the point or accordingly. So from that point of view, she 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 got the march of the ladies to their achievement of their intention to become independent, free, and emancipated. And it is only a 12 pages text, but full of that criticism of the patriarchy and their selfishness. And parallelly, she criticized women for their, self, what should I say, uh, self, uh, self, uh, without motivation for the self, that ornament is the precious thing for life, or the order of the husband, the order of the patriarchy. These are the factors to run the life successfully. But Rokeya, disagreed with all the steps of women life, and she suggested firstly for education and lastly for education. Only education can give such a room that where can they find themselves independent, find themselves free, find themselves available for doing any kind of work they have in their life. If we look for the setting of the room, washroom, or bathroom, or that where the women take shower, the roof is open, so they can easily use the sunlight, or they can enjoy rainwater. So it is these are the symbols of freedom for women, or leisure for women, who is very difficult to find out in women's life in that time, or even today. So the inventions, education, and courage and space that I should talk on, that third space, education is as the third space for women. Okay. So now I'm considering that how ecofeminism can be related to the story of Sultana's dream. According to Bressler's uh, very famous book, Literary Criticism and Introduction to Theory and Practice, uh, Ecofeminism or ecofeminist approaches concerned over analyzes the interconnection of the operation of women and nature. And Gregor, in his book Ecofeminism, he talked on two camps of ecofeminist approaches. The second one is my concern to relate with the or to apply on the spirit of the paper. What does he say? That ecofeminism, first historically, maintains that there is no such thing as a feminine essence that would make women more likely to connect with nature. So that means nothing is defined for women. Nature is open for everybody. And though it is told that women and nature are similar, parallel, they are one for each one, and women are from nature because both have the productivity or productive power. But when women, it is oppressed, women's position is oppressed by patriarchal power on them. Nature can, that spirit is incorporated by Rokeya Sakhawat Hossain in her book Sultana's Dream. That dream for what? Dream for a land which is free of, and it is mentioned here that that Herland or that Ladyland is free of disease or free of any kind of corruption. So it is produced by women. So when women are leading, they are out of all these dangers, quote unquote, preserved by patriarchal power. When they are doing the things, corruption and other things, they are not considering as as a threat for the society. They are considering as as a they are doing things, they are maximizing their knowledge, power, capacity, and ability. So these are the ultimate messages from Sakhawat Hossain Sultana's Dream. So I want to uh, argue now with some questions that are important to understand feminist approaches of ecofeminism. So how is nature represented in this text? That I was talking, that nature is giving, all to women, or women are taking everything and anything from nature, from their, uh, kitchen to bathroom, or kitchen to the university places, or their the inside of the house, from the inside of the house to the battle, or the field of the war, or their preparation for saving the country, or inventing scientific issues and events for upholding, uplifting, or improving lives. They used every inch of the land and every aspect of the nature, understanding all attitudes of nature, that nature is waiting for giving benefits for women. What about second question, that how has the concept of nature changed over time? That I was I started talking on zenana that turned into mardana, that women are for the house, inside of the house to run the house rightly, correctly, comfortably for men. And that idea is changed over time when women got education and they showed their capability of doing every aspect that that were needed for the development of the country. How is the setting of the novel related to the environment? And the novel began in began in the dream, but it passed through a garden-like country, and it ended getting the parlor of the queen, and that was naturally explored by the objects that she needed. And the last important question, sorry, two more important questions. Where is the environment placed in the power hierarchy? So, power is a synonymous word for patriarchy, particularly in India, where women's education is not so regular issue in Rokeya's time and even today. Though in today's time we get um, more female students than male in our university and in my department, but their number is not enough to emancipate themselves. So that power hierarchy, when women got the power to lead the country, they saved the country because their education helped them to seek their position. That's why the men took the decision to go in, and simultaneously the women took the decision to go out and to save the country, involving them, fighting them in the war. So that environment, using environment or the use of the environment fully became a power of the hierarchy of women. So women got the leading, okay, by the help and order of the principals and queen. And another question, how is nature empowered or oppressed in this work? So that totally arranged beautiful country is a blessing for women, and they not only felt comfort living there, but also leading the country from the front. And this is the source of the garden-like countries where there is no germ or no disease, no corrupt people who can ruin the country. So now I am coming to the possibility of or reality of the text, that how can we relate Sultana's dream today? Yes, of course, Mardana is not institutionally common or zenana. These are the psychological space for men and women need to be kept inside by themselves or by patriarchal power or the power hierarchy of the men. So they can easily be involved with lots of activities outside of their home. And another relevance is the scientific inventions uh, and the power of education. And it is absolute thing that when you are capable of doing things, if no one is ready to give the place, you are enough to uh, place yourself, and that is proved by Rokeya Sakhawat Hossain with the story of Sultana and her companion or guide, sister Sara. Okay, so I want to conclude saying that this text is a phenomenal one for women who can, like Maya Angelou, who can prove themselves phenomenal women with the quicker brain, the intention of having education up to the mark. And even she's telling the age of women's marriage is 21. That is, practiced in our country 18. But in her time, almost 100 years ago, she was prescribing or suggesting 21. She was emphasizing on women education to the fullest. She was showing the path that women can do everything when they get the chance. So, and even she said, the chance will not be given. Chance will be incorporated by the capacity of education through emancipation. So she has gave a line that rejecting patriarchal power, rejecting patriarchal domination, coming out of the zenana, taking education, building a nice garden-like country, free of disease and disharmony, and placing themselves in a beautiful, comfortable space, quote unquote, for themselves as a free, emancipated, and powerful force for any society, any country, any place, anybody, either a group or a community or a country or as an individual. Women can do everything if they get the capacity and chance by their education, using the education, showing their emancipation for the other as an example. So thank you very much for your patience hearing my discussion on Sultana's Dream, written by Rokeya Sakhawat Hossain.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. Are there any questions?
Yes, we have a
Hello, I would like to ask you what inspired you to study this topic?
Thank you very much. First of all, Rokeya Sakhawat Hossain came from a very poor, I'm just quoting the word, poor background of getting education or freedom to choose any idea to place them in the society. And from that culture or perspective, she wrote a text in English, and that was published by a very prestigious journal in that time in India. And I took the idea or the problem I got for doing research that uh, the leading of women, education of women, and the power, their place in the power hierarchy. Though it is a utopia, but the setting indicates that when women get the chance, if they have the ability with education, they can fulfill any demand of any country. So women are not neglected if they have that capacity by education and emancipation through their spirit of getting themselves free out of the power patriarchy of men.
Thank you.
Okay, I see Rasim is raising hand.
Hello. Thank you so much for your presentation. What a beautiful
Thank you.
work. I do have a question.
Yes.
So in her work, I do believe that Rukaya tried to create a utopian world where women live in peace, love, and prosperity. But don't you think that there is some kind of sexism in the theme of Rukaya's work, where she marginalized men in her utopia? And is that going to create, so trying to marginalize men, isn't it going to create some kind of imbalance in the harmony she tried to create? And I want to back this question up with a quote from a feminist thinker, Simone de Beauvoir, just to clarify my point, in which she said, the point is not for women simply to take power out of men's hands, since that wouldn't change anything about the world. It's a question precisely of destroying that notion of power. So, here in the novel, having women in control and completely marginalizing men isn't going to create some kind of imbalance.
Okay, thank you very much. Very important question. And this is a very common question when I presented papers on these takes. And thank you for forwarding the quotation. Yes, of course. According to the quotation, it is true that it seems marginalization of men, keeping them in Mardana. Actually, if you go through the text, that was their choice, their incapacity of losing in the world. They had that, fear of losing the world, and they choose that place to do with or to keep themselves safer than the places outside as a soldier. So this is one thing. And as a utopia society, that zenana is a word, or that seclusion is very common for Indian women for two reasons. One is the patriarchal power that women are poor, supporting men in living inside, and Rokeya wanted to change that. That's why, as a satire or as a setting uh, for showing something important, that giving a space for women, that how can they do things. But I am coming to the second point of your question, that is also very important, that what do they do after getting power? If you go through the story, they are gradually getting their education, and this education is not only school or college level education. This is the top education, the university education. After getting that, they were not preparing for work. They were just invented things like saving rainwater, saving sun heat, etc., for the cultivation of civilization and for the betterment of a country. And alongside, they enjoyed their life using nature to the fullest. And all the things were done by their education and their spirit of emancipating them. And from that point, the question of marginalizing men is not valid in the sense that they did not invite them, they did not force, they did not create any force for men to go inside. Okay, so and the spirit and the message of the text, that after getting education, if opportunities come, they can prove themselves for their success. They are not coming. Yes, of course, they are leading now, or they are in the outside, but they are not holding the power as a corrupt one. Rokeya is giving lots of examples that how men are superior and how men are thinking that they are the lion in India. Okay, so that lionhood is patriarchy. So she is just rejecting by placing capacity of men in the place of men's patriarchal power, domination, or one-sided definition of men and women. She is just placing it another side and placing women in another place by their capacity. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your answer.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any more questions? Okay, seems like not. So thank you very much for your presentation. And the next session today starts at 13:15 of Central European time. So we have a longer lunch break, and then we'll see each other again.
Okay, thank you very much.
Goodbye.